salute. Now we all come together as well. For tomorrow, now we go make salute.
Yeah, well, our top stories this morning, it's quite serene. President Julius Maada Bio has urged the management of the Bank of Sierra Leone to make reality the second phase of the national payment switch in the next 4 months. President Bio commended the bank for such clause in their mandate, knowing well the bottlenecks this initiative will address. This and more was said at the formal launch of the national payment switch at the bank's staff recreation complex at Kingstown in Freetown.
Significant cash holding across the formal sector, in the informal sector, and among the rural, the unbanked, and underbanked populations. As pointed out in the technical presentation, this new technology facilitates is also a game changer in this area because it will enable the government to deliver public services more effectively and efficiently. Social welfare payments, including pension and welfare benefits, can now be disbursed directly into the accounts of beneficiaries through the national switch. This ensures timely and secure delivery and maintains an electronic transaction footprint. Additionally, the national switch will facilitate the adoption of e-commerce and e-government services, providing citizens with easy and convenient access to a range of public services.
Well, in another story, the National Secretary General for the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Alhaji Manika Kamara, has expressed dissatisfaction over Sierra Leone's position in the latest report released by the Reporters Without Borders. Sierra Leone dropped 28 places, down from 46 in 2022 to 74 in 2020 global ranking. The report was released in commemoration of this year's World Press Freedom Day, with the theme shaping a future of right, freedom of expression as a drive for all other human rights.
Concerning our assessments in the media, you can recall that in 2020, Parliament repealed Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act that criminalizes libel and free speech. And with that repeal, Sierra Leone in 2021-2022 made remarkable improvements in the World Index rating. Sierra Leone moved to 46 place in to 46 position in 2021-2022. And now in 2023, just today, this morning, the ranking that was published by the respective body, Sierra Leone jumped from 46 to 74, which is about 28 space, which is very, very bad for us as a country. And according to the reports, this is so because of four indicators. One is the political indicator.
All right, and finally, both presidential aspirants of the United Democratic Movement and the People's Democratic Party have gone through their respective nomination process. Mohamed Soatoure and Prince Koka pleaded for peaceful and electionary process while stating that their parties stands a chance of going to State House come June 24.
I want to assure the Electoral Commission and the country that I am committed to peace. My political party is also committed to peace. My membership are committed to peace. It is not only by word of mouth, but my actions, my behavior, and the rest of it.
For us as a party, our first point of contact, even within the government, is how we engage them and dialogue with them. Because we believe that election is not war. Election is a game of voting, and also is a war of winning or losing. But what I believe on, after election, if I happen or I'm fortunate to win the election, praise be to God, so be it.
All right, that's all we have in our top stories this morning. Back to you, Mattia and Elizabeth. But it's quite an exciting moment, and we've started seeing the rain. And you spoke earlier about the heavy damp of rain, yesterday night. I was driving on my way, and it was quite crazy and scary. I think, like most Sierra Leoneans say, Meteorological Agency and the National Disaster Management should come together to chart the way forward. But Met, tomorrow we officially launch the weather forecast. What should be expecting this year during the raining season? Over to you, Mattia and Elizabeth in our main studios.
All right, many thanks to you, David Wilson, for bringing some of our top stories in the news. This morning in the show, we shall be speaking to the mayoral aspirant of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, Mohamed Gentle Kamara, on his plans if he becomes mayor after the June 24th mayoral election. And also we shall be speaking to the mayoral aspirant of the National Democratic Alliance. And as well, we'll make sure we bring you those political views in our program. And also, Sierra Leone yesterday joined other countries to commemorate World Press Freedom Day on the theme Shaping a Future of Rights, Freedom of Expression as a driver for all other human rights. We shall be discussing the significance of that day. And our quote for today says, freedom of the press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy. Liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. Whoever will overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. And it comes from Thomas Jefferson. He was an American statesman, diplomat, lawyer, architect, and philosopher. We'll now take a quick word from our sponsor, Rukel Commercial Bank, and then we'll be right back.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for you. For shopping, travel expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes, then what is your financial transaction wish?
I'd like to have a choice.
I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, lights out. I'll buy some ETSA, still on my phone.
I'd like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO of a company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transporting cash.
Rukel Commercial Bank Simcopo does it all.
Rukel Commercial Bank Simcopo.
Think of it as
Money when you're close to home and when you're away from home for unexpected expenses, and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank SIM Copper is all you need.
We are now days away from Sierra Leone's dates with destiny, the June 24th general election. In this defining moment in the history of Sierra Leone, here at AYV, we recognize the mantle thrust upon us to be the voice of the nation fully.
We take our task to ensure fair coverage seriously. We intend to honor our pledge to you, to be your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Totally. This is our commitment to you. We have witnessed non-stop hours of groundbreaking broadcast in an effort that saw AYV rolled out 8 studios across Sierra Leone at Tar Hill, Aberdeen, Makeni, Kenema, Bow, and London, with almost 3 kilometers of coaxial cable laid connecting 4 ground teams that consume almost 100 liters of coffee from Chef Taina. The most important number is 2. Out of dozens of aspirants, only 2 men have emerged from the conventions in February as flag bearers of the APC and SLPP, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio and Dr. Samuel Matthew Wilson Camara.
So far, we have witnessed a lot of intrigues. Maybe this is the beginning. Defections and realignments have been plenty. We don't know if there's more to come.
The only thing you can guarantee right now is that your home of credible, factual, and balanced news and analysis, AYV Media Empire, will bring you every twist and turn of this amazing race in full color and in high definition.
We shall have a comprehensive look at the developments around the election as we count down to Sierra Leone's date with destiny.
Women clamored and got a law that provides 30% minimum quota in governance. Will that be achieved this June?
Well, one thing is clear. The nation has begun its conversation that will culminate a date with its destiny on the 24th of June. How much will change by then? And what shifts within the political landscape are we going to see?
Find out more on the nation's biggest and most trusted news source, AYV, on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio 101.7 FM, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on TikTok.
Yes, indeed. Only AYP. Because AYP, Nine Salute Sabi.
All right, good morning, viewers. Welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV. Don't forget, during this 2 hours conversation, send your comments and questions to our Facebook page, AYV News.
Well, in our first segment this morning, yesterday, Sierra Leone joined other countries to commemorate World Press Freedom Day. This year's theme is Shaping a Future of Rights, Freedom of Expression as a driver for all other human rights, signifying the enabling elements of freedom of expression to enjoy and protect all other human rights. Freedom of expression is distinct from freedom to malign and or spread fake news. However, the recent World Press Freedom Index shows that Sierra Leone dropped 28 places from 46 in 2022 to 74 in 2023. So this morning, to discuss the significance of the day, we shall be speaking to Alaji Manika Kamara, the Secretary General of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, and we also have in the studio Victor Idrissa Lansana, Vice Chairman, Human Rights Commission, Sierra Leone. And you're welcome to the program, Victor.
Good morning.
Whilst we are waiting, Manika, the premise there that all other freedom for it to be guaranteed is predicated on the fact that if you do not have the freedom or the right to speak freely, then all other rights are questionable. How human rights guaranteed is that in the Sierra Leone context?
Well, thank you very much for having the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone. It's always a pleasure for us to be here and share our views on very serious or national issues. You know, we like to put things in context. We've come a long way. It's 21 years on since we ended the war in 2002. I mean, I'm sure you know that in 21 years ago, it's not the same today. I mean, 10 years ago, it's not the same today. 15 or 20 years ago, it's not the same today. In terms of the media landscape, we have actually made gains. Today, we are talking about over 200 newspapers. We have over 200 media houses. We have over 20 magazines. Because what we need to look at actually is what are the enablers or the factors for you to say, yes, indeed, there is freedom of expression or media, there's media guarantee in your country. Are there institutions? Are there laws? The legal framework, is it in place? Is it effective? Do we have institutions that are there to ensure that people enjoy their rights? So yes, I agree that the right to freedom of expression is a fundamental right which hinges or which plays a very pivotal role in ensuring that other rights are being enjoyed. So whether it's the right to participate, the right to vote, the right to education, all of these are hinged upon the right to freedom of expression. And of course, in our context, the Constitution is very clear. The Constitution makes very strong provisions in terms of freedom of expression. But even before the Constitution, our Constitution was done in 1991. But then we have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which is our own, African or our own continental document that actually guides the operations of human rights. And then also we have at the international level, we have the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. This was way back in 1960 something. So all of these documents actually guarantee the freedom of expression. And so when you look at the ICCPR that I've just made mention of, Article 19 of that document is very clear. It tells you that every individual will have the opportunity or should have the right to actually enjoy freedom of expression. Okay, and that is very, very important for us to understand. It's the same thing that the African Charter on Human and People's Rights also provides, that every individual should be able to express him or herself freely within the context of the law. So that is actually where the Constitution, our own Constitution, gains inspiration. In Section 25 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, it tells you that no individual shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his rights of freedom of expression. And that freedom of expression means that you can disseminate your opinions without hindrance. You can actually say things that you think affect your interest and so on and so forth. So all of these are very serious provisions, both nationally and internationally, that protect and guarantee the rights to freedom of expression. And Sierra Leone, as a state, we have made tremendous progress in ensuring that people are able to enjoy these rights. There are challenges, of course, in enjoying these rights. But of course, we have actually made so much progress. Like I said earlier, what you used to see in 1999 or 2002 or 2003, it's not the same situation today. Today, we have, over 1 million or more Sierra Leoneans who have access to internet, for instance, because that is also a very serious platform. These days, it's an emerging platform in Sierra Leone where citizens are able to actively participate in governance, where citizens are able to express themselves, in terms of national issues. So the platforms are there. Do we need to do more? Of course, we need to do more because, we always want more. Human beings will always want more. It doesn't matter what you have today, you still want more. But again, what we have to emphasize, maybe as the program progresses, is the fact that this freedom of expression or every right goes along with the responsibilities. So people should not, misunderstand the point that because the laws make provisions for the guarantee or the enjoyment of the freedom of expression, therefore, people should be reckless in enjoying that right. So the same laws that I've just made mention of, the ICCPR, International Covenant on civil and political rights, when you look at section Article 19, sub-article 3, it tells you that these rights, if you want to enjoy, anybody who enjoys the right to freedom of expression has responsibilities as well. And those responsibilities are bestowed upon the individual to ensure that he enjoys the right to freedom of expression within the context of the law. Because according to the act, that covenant itself, it says that you have to consider the rights and reputations of other people. You have to consider what you say, does not actually affect the security of the state or public morality. It does not affect public morality or it doesn't affect generally the security of the state and the rights and reputations of individuals. So it tells you that on one hand, yes, you have the right to express yourself. You have the right to participate in governance. You have the right to express your interest in issues. But then also you have the responsibility to so express those rights within the context of the law responsibly. Because, for instance, somebody could not just because now today everybody many people have access to internet. You can just buy 1 million megabytes and then write on the social media that Mr. Matia collected X amount of money from a politician so that he could be compromised in doing his job at AYV. And then you say, oh, I'm expressing my freedom of expression, my right to freedom of expression, because that is what the Constitution says. But that is not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says when you're expressing or enjoying that right, you must have recourse to the rights and reputations of other people, because your right stops at where somebody else's right begins. So once you have the opportunity to express yourself, you have to understand that it goes with responsibility. You have to understand that the rights of other people really matter. So it is very clear, and we have to understand that Sierra Leoneans, in as much as we say we want to continue to enjoy our rights, and Sierra Leone is a democratic state that has laws, and these laws must be obeyed and respected, people have to understand that rights always go with the responsibilities. And I must state that human rights are given by laws. There's no human rights you want to claim that is not guaranteed by law. If there's no law, then there's no human rights in that instance. And so human rights are guaranteed by laws, and human rights are restricted or limited also by laws. So the government has to understand that before you could limit or you could restrict the enjoyment of rights of people, there must be an enabling law, an enabling legislation or policy that clearly states instances where these rights are restricted or limited. And those instances must not be unreasonable. They must be reasonable instances so that we have a society where people feel very secure and free to participate in governance, to express themselves without, any unnecessary hindrance. So these are the bedrocks, people have to understand in terms of human rights or the rights to freedom of expression.
Now, you've highlighted basically, the fact on which our 1991 Constitution is shaped or is based, especially when you look at all the international conventions or treaties we are part of and how instrumental they are to ensuring that the rights of citizens are secured. There was a time in this country when we had political parties who had radio stations, and those radio stations, for some reason, were pulled off air because as a result of the message they were sending. And looking back since that time to now, including the new media you just spoke of, the social media and its effect, and still the lack of policing to some extent or legislations around how we can ensure that people's rights are also affected online and not just only through mainstream speech being made or expression. Has there been any case whatsoever from the Human Rights Commission perspective where at any time Sierra Leoneans or citizens are concerned that the new media or the traditional press in general is shaped in such a way wherein the freedom of people are questioned, or the actual views of people are not being transmitted as they are?
You know, I said in my opening statement that we have there must be in the first place the legal framework, and for us in Sierra Leone we have the legal framework already. But then, you know, like I said, there is always room for improvement. The new media, you know, has actually created so much, so much rancor at some point, and also it has created so much opportunities for young people, particularly, you know, to understand governance, whether within Sierra Leone or without Sierra Leone. You know, it has created opportunities for people to be able to, for instance, gain scholarships. You know, those who positively use the new media. It's a very, very important platform that we have had. I mean, we have been able to get as a nation. But then, like you said, you are fearful of the rights or the reputations of other people, and that is why government in 2022, you know, passed into law the Cybersecurity and Crimes Act. That act talks about, for instance, I mean, there are several issues it talked about, but it's for the purpose of this discussion, it talks about, for instance, cyberbullying. So cyberbullying is an instance where, because you have your phone, you can afford some megabytes. You just go take to the media, to the social media, and then start writing all manner of things, you know, to discredit without any substantiation, without any evidence. You begin to discredit other people, which actually has so much negative impact on the name of the individual, on the family of the individual, on the reputation of that individual. So we have been seeing that even before, I mean, the advent of the cyber law itself, and that was why government was very quick. And I'm very happy that when that law was passed, when the bill in the first place was tabled before Parliament, the Speaker in his wisdom said, no, we need to have, I mean, a very wide consultation. So the bill was sent back to the Minister of Information, to say, go and hold, I mean, numerous consultations across the country, so that you get to know what people actually think. And at the end of the day, we saw, I mean, the participation of Sierra Leoneans across the board. And when the bill went back to Parliament, you saw clearly how Parliament was unanimous. You know, the main opposition, other opposition parties, and the government party, they were all together. They discussed the bill, the entirety of the bill, you know, with sincerity. And at the end of the day, there was a unanimous decision to pass that law. So that law actually creates an opportunity for Sierra Leoneans to ensure that we are very much responsible in using or maximizing the new media. Because, I mean, many people now are really clinging on towards the new media. But we have to understand that it doesn't mean because you can afford a megabyte, you can afford, or you have free internet wherever you are, whichever part of this world you are, you can use that and try to, I mean, try to disparage the reputations of other people. That is very, very bad, and it's even criminal. So Sierra Leoneans have to understand that, because I mean, already the examples abound in terms of the reckless use of social media. We saw what happened in McKinney last year, the August in McKinney, when that generator incident happened. As a commission, we went there, we are on the ground. We saw, even before the incident actually took its height, we saw how young people mounted loudspeakers, Bluetooth speakers, you know, playing audio messages from this. There's a guy they call Adebayo. You know, they were playing this, which, I mean, it was so inciting to say, don't allow government to come and take that generator. It's your only generator. Ensure that you resist them. Do everything to ensure that you resist them. So that was like a preparatory stage, you know, to what we actually later saw, where, I mean, young people had to lose their lives. We also saw that one in Tumbu. They did the same thing. They mounted loudspeakers, you know, talk about, I mean, resisting lawful orders, you know, the resisting authority. And at the end of the day, we saw that, I mean, young people went, they attacked police station, they attacked the peripheral health units, the clinic that was there. And of course, again, at the end of the day, we saw that lives were lost. So already there is, I mean, there are examples of there are negative consequences, evidence of negative consequences, how the media or the use of or the reckless use of the social media has actually led to several problems in our country. And so we have to think wise to be able to use the media professionally and responsibly.
Okay.
The laws are there, the laws guarantee that right, but then we have to use the right responsibly.
Okay, taking a cue from what you've said, before we go over to Umu Bakar, who's the public relations officer in place of Alhaji Manika Kamara from SLAJ. The World Press Freedom Index, which was put together by Reporters Without Border, actually stated that out of 180 countries where they compiled reports on world press freedom, 118 of them actually stated having issues with fake news. They spotlight fake news as having a rapid effect on freedom of speech and the likes. Now, from your office, and you also mentioned responsibilities within the law, how citizens should conduct themselves in expressing their rights to speech and all of that. How do you ensure that citizens express themselves in these rights, taking into consideration also the next person, taking into consideration the viewers, the consumers of their information?
Yes, certainly we need much more education and an enlightened situation, an enlightened country or society produces a very responsible, citizenry, because we are people do not actually understand, how to exercise their rights. It becomes a very serious challenge. So, like I've just said, it is a responsibility for all of us as individuals to understand that we have to know how to use or how to enjoy our rights. And government on its own end has to understand that laws or laws being created are not discriminatory. Laws being created are not perverse in a way that they will hinge on the rights of people. So in that case, there should be a very clear balancing act. There should be a situation where government is alive to its own duties to ensure, for instance, that the security of the state is intact. But at the same time, citizens themselves have to understand that they must enjoy their rights, but then they must enjoy those rights within the context of the law. And if you don't actually if you don't read, if you're not enlightened, that is where you see fake news will thrive, because you don't know how to verify between what is fake and what is real. And once that happens, there is a very serious problem. I remember here in this studio, I think you lost one of your colleagues here, out of fake news when at the height of Corona.
Yes, a wife of our colleague.
A wife of your colleague, exactly.
Yes.
May I so rest in peace. There was this news about schools vaccinating
Injection,
children,
yeah.
and this woman heard of that. Her daughter, was in hospital or at school, and then she just watched. Out of that, she got and she was attacked. Heart attack or something, and she dropped dead. Out of fake news, we have seen what actually that one has actually caused us. So people have to understand that we should not misuse social media. Social media, you can learn a lot of things. Young people are there; they can use social media to do innovations, to do their markets, to even get scholarship. Get scholarships to go and study somewhere. So these are very positive ways for us to use the social media, other than people creating platforms where it's just about abuses. Yesterday, I was in a meeting with Justice Fisher, I have to state, where he was telling me that if he is not entitled to his own rights, that people have sustainably, abused him, abused his mother. People have used moral invectives, getting at him just because he's doing his own job. So that is a very wrong way or reckless way of using social media, because it really matters. The rights of others really matter. The rights and reputations of other people really matter. So when you are enjoying, or when you are going after your own rights, enjoying your own rights, you have to understand that you have to do it within the boundaries of the law. Otherwise, you are committing a crime. And we don't want to see a situation that happened last year in McKinney or in Tumbu. We want to have a society that is quite responsible, a society that is human rights friendly, where people understand the culture of human rights, people are able to embrace the culture of human rights, respect the rights of others whilst you enjoy your own rights. That is the only way we can have a sustainable society, a peaceful, secure society.
Okay, now over to you, Umu. The World Press Freedom Index actually noted that Sierra Leone is 74 from the compilation. And this means we dropped 28 places from 46 in 2022. And also taking into consideration, just after we've seen the repeal of Part 5 of the Public Order Act, which now decriminalizes libel. What do you make of it from the point of that? Is this anything we should be proud of? Is it something we should be worried about or concerned?
Well, actually, the issue of press freedom in Sierra Leone has been a concern for a very long time now. The repeal of Part 5 is just one aspect of guaranteeing press freedom for journalists across the country. But if you look at the way things are going in the media and how much of, poverty and the level of compliance from people, it shows that a lot has to be done, a lot needs to be done. Because if the media is actually being considered as something that we should put more attention to, it means that a lot is responsible for what is happening or what yardstick they might have used in terms of doing whatever survey they did. Because sometimes some of the things people look at, when you look at it from the other lens, you may not see what they have seen and why they did what they did. So basically, we are concerned on the fact that, the issue of freedom, Sierra dropping, although we, to some extent, largely want to say that, the issue of media freedom in Sierra Leone, to some extent, has been more relaxed as compared to other previous years, wherein we have to be running to police stations to appeal for colleagues who have been detained under the seditious criminal libel law, as compared to now when the law has been repealed. But the issue of cybersecurity has also continued to remain a concern for us journalists, because many a times people want to say, okay, they are not being considered now or they are not being arrested now. But some people see it as a way of muzzling the media to some extent. So I think it's something to actually consider, and it's very serious.
Right. Now, speaking on the fact that this index, to a very large extent, places Sierra Leone 28 places below where it was in 2022. Could there be any parameter from SLAG's own perspective as to why we've dropped so far in the index?
Well, not really, because like I said, it depends on the yardstick they might have used in doing whatever survey they did. Because you cannot say the media is somehow being muzzled or there's not much freedom from the media in terms of doing their work. So whatever yardstick they might have used is something we will actually begin to look at. And sometimes people do surveys. Sometimes these surveys are things they might have done before they are being published. So it's been published at a particular time does not actually sometimes necessarily reflect on the particular issue at that particular moment, because you may begin to wonder exactly under which circumstances were these surveys done and under which circumstances did they look at, which lens did they use to look at the survey when you want to say that, freedom of expression, the level Sierra Leone dropped at. So I think when people do certain things, as journalists or as people who may want to do surveys, they need to actually begin to look at checking, cross-checking their information. And people, so these surveys, when they go out, people send them to different places. And the HANSI surveys go actually depends on what you get to put out your information, because you might not be on the field to know, to actually look at it from maybe the perspective you may want to look at it. So I think it's something we will have to look at
Okay,
critically
quickly, let
as
me
large.
ask, do you agree with the report? And also, would you help us with the status of press freedom in Sierra Leone?
Well, I will not say I agree or disagree with the reports, because I wasn't there. Like I said, I didn't know what yardstick they used to do their report. But to talk about the status of press freedom in Sierra Leone, to some extent, I would want to say we've been enjoying some amount of press freedom in Sierra Leone. There is media plurality, and we have more media houses coming up, which means that journalists have more space to talk about things, to address issues, to look at issues critically from any journalistic point of view. So I think we're enjoying some amount of press freedom in Sierra Leone, which as compared to years before, and before now, there's nothing to talk about when you look at press freedom. But now, after the repeal, this is a country wherein we're approaching elections. Before now, you will have heard of journalists being arrested, journalists being detained, but it's there. And you look at media houses doing critical stories now, even though we are approaching elections. So it shows the level of media freedom we're actually been enjoying for some time now.
All right. Before I bring in Dr. Fatmata Koroma Bangura, quickly to this report and the index and basically a comparative analysis of 2023 and 2022. The report itself focuses on media independence, environment, self-censorship, legislative framework, transparency, infrastructure, and then abuse of journalists. If you critically look at the comparative analysis between 2022 and 2023, the indicators show that in 2022 we did very well and the numbers were low. And when you look at political indicator, it was 35 in 2022, and it is now 49 in terms of political interference into the media. It's now 49 in 2023, and the economic indicator showed 55 in 2022 and 81 in 2023. Legislative indicator showed 42 in 2022 and 77 in 2023. And the security indicator in 2022 showed 58, and in 2023 it showed 102. And this security indicator includes the fact of journalists being targeted, whether not physically, but even in terms of verbal abuse or in terms of intimidation with regards content. Looking at all these indicators, someone will argue legislatively we've looked at the repeal of Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act, which has decriminalized it, but to a very large extent it's still in our laws as a tortious ability. But other indicators like the economic indicator of the media, we keep saying there's media poverty. Aren't these indicators resonating with the general media landscape of Sierra Leone?
Well, the economic indicators also will tell you that most media houses are concentrated in the capital of Freetown, and most journalists are poorly paid. So when you look at the economic indicators, it's mostly pays attention on what the journalists take home as salaries, and because of situations like this, you begin to wonder what exactly is happening. But if you look at Sierra Leone now, the market is small, and we don't have much, and most of these media houses are owned by individuals. So because of the ownership, that also affects the what the journalist takes home as salaries at the end of the month.
So then, in terms of economic indicator in the 2023 report, will Sludge agree with this report, even though not in its entirety of us dropping 28 places down? But when you look at individually these indicators, for example, the economic indicator you've just stated, and how poor the media is, how poorly paid journalists are, will Sludge not agree with this indicator that yes, indeed, as this as a factor can guarantee us dropping some places down the index?
Well, I cannot say yes, because even though the indicators shows that journalists are less paid, but you also agree that the media houses are rapidly increasing from 2022 to 2023 as per license being given. And to some extent, some of these media houses are relatively new. And most times, the people that are employed as, some of them are either volunteers or trainees. And sometimes you go there because you want to work, you have passion for the profession. It simply will tell you that, okay, for now we cannot pay, we don't have money to pay. If you are willing to come and volunteer, it's fine. So these are some of the reasons why the level of media poverty is actually being looked at and selling, dropping in terms of the economic. And for the political side, I think to some extent, we are actually seeing wherein the media is not directly being controlled by politicians. Although there are some media houses who were claimed to be owned by politicians, indirectly being sponsored by politicians, which some of them have impact on the content that have been aired. So basically, for me, I would say it all boils down to the market. And how much of investment needs to be done. Because if the private sector invests in the media, the politicians will not have much to say or even control or demand from the media. And these are some of the issues Sludge is actually concerned about. And these are issues we've continued to champion. The IMC, we know there's a law now that says you need to pay the journalists at least the minimum wage, above the minimum wage. NASIT should be paid for them. But how many journalists are actually bold enough to come out and say, oh, I've been in this place for some time now, I have not been paid? How many journalists are actually bold enough to come out when you are being called, say, okay, come to work without a letter, something that commits you and the institution? How many people are willing to come out and say that in open? They are not. People just give out this information on surveys where they know their names are not included in the surveys. So these are all the issues.
Just a quick question. Are we blaming the drop because of the media poverty you just mentioned? Because I am thinking, or is it right to say we put integrity over media poverty? Because if this is the field you are interested in, like you mentioned, there's passion for it, there's integrity, you want to deliver credibility, you are there to disseminate information and to do your job to the best of your capacity. Is it what has the media poverty has to do? Is that the reason why we dropped these spaces according to the index?
He who pays the piper calls the tune. So it simply tells you that even if you are being paid as much as is expected of you, but the media owners, do you know the affiliations they have? You cannot question, you cannot determine. Sometimes we have seen and heard of cases wherein people will have written news, and at the end of the day, when it gets to the editor, most of the content have been changed. But at the end of the day, it's you, your name, your byline. It's your voice that is being heard. And we have also seen and heard of issues wherein you may want to do a particular story and you get a call from whoever you think is the head of your institution that dropped that story. Can you say no to those people? Can you actually question? No matter how much passion we have, there are people who might be driven. That is why if you look at how the media has been, you see people coming in at some point, and at the end of the day, those people are just there to wait for the rains when the weather is clear. They have to go because even though there's passion, but there are things that you need to have as a human being. The basic necessities are there, and those necessities have to be met as an individual. The self-confidence, the salaries, the sense of belonging, all of those issues need to be addressed when you are at a workplace to ensure that your mind, you are in the right frame of mind to be able to do your work as a journalist. So sometimes, even if you're there, but you don't feel like you belong to a particular institution or you belong to something, you go. And that is some of the things that have driven a lot of journalists out of the profession. So for some of the others who have stood the test of time, and that is why you see of late, you see journalists openly supporting politicians with the hope that if this particular politician succeeds, I will succeed as well. Things will be better for me. So all of these issues have been concern raised by Sludge, and these are issues we will continue to look at, we continue to talk to, and appeal to media owners to ensure that, you know, journalists actually get what they're supposed to get. Because if you get the right environment, you get paid, you get what you're supposed to get, you'll be able to do your job without anybody coming in to dictate or have influence on what you do as your work as a journalist.
All right, and thank you very much, Umo, and of course to you, Idisa. Continue to stay with us. Now in Studio 2, we have Her Excellency Dr. Fatmata Kuroma Bangura, Global Peace Ambassador to the United Nations, Executive Director of Taste of Salone Culture and Fashion. She's here to talk about the third annual Taste of Salone Culture and Fashion 2023 on the theme Returning to Our Roots. The event will take place on the 28th of April, took place on 28th of April this year. Returning to our roots, Doctor, how significant is our roots in contemporary African culture we speak of, and you know, going back to understanding the African culture or the Sierra Leonean culture in particular?
Right now, currently as we speak, Sierra Leone, Africa, the West, the world is getting smaller. Information is more accessible. So when you talk about African culture, everyone is able to view African culture internationally. And right now, as we speak, and a couple of months prior, we had the U.S. African Summit, and the West are basically engaged in promoting Africa and African culture. So such as tourism and other aspects of African culture. And it's easier for the world to see what's going on in Sierra Leone and other parts of the continent. So I'm taking this opportunity to expose the world internationally to the beautiful culture of Sierra Leone.
Now, when we talk of the Sierra Leonean culture and how important it is to attract other people or tourism in particular, let's speak to how we as Sierra Leoneans can market and how vital or important our culture is when you compare to other African countries. For example, like Nigeria, the fashion industry is off the hook. You look at Kenya, you look at how empowered or how powerful in terms of revenue generation these other industries are. How can Sierra Leone compare to those?
Sierra Leone is developing, it's growing, and I want to be a part of that growth and development of Sierra Leone culture, whether it's entertainment, even our traditional culture, and also fashion industry, our food, everything. So Sierra Leone plays an intricate part internationally because of Freetown, and so we have a major connection to Black people all over the African diaspora. So Sierra Leone plays a major part in that. So, and people are currently and for the years coming to Sierra Leone to explore their ancestry because they're of African descent. So Sierra Leone is very important. It plays a major part and it needs to be cultivated. I don't think that it's cultivated enough. And that's, I want to play a part in that cultivation.
All right, let me hold you there a bit. It's now 9 a.m. in our studio. Let's quickly take a news summary from David Lemon Wilson, and then when we come back, we'll continue the discussion, especially on the taste of Salone. Let's now join David Lemon Wilson.
Yeah, well, our top stories this morning, it's quite raining. President Julius Maada Bio has urged the management of the Bank of Sierra Leone to make reality the second phase of the national payment switch in the next 4 months. President Bio commended the bank for such clause in their mandate, knowing well the bottlenecks this initiative will address. This and more was said at the formal launch of the national payment switch at the bank's staff recreation complex at Kingstown in Freetown.
Significant cash hoarding across the formal sector, in the informal sector, and among the rural, the unbanked, and underbanked populations. As pointed out in the technical presentation, this new technology facilitates is also a game changer in this area because it will enable the government to deliver public services more effectively and efficiently. Social welfare payments, including pension and welfare benefits, can now be disbursed directly into the accounts of beneficiaries through the national switch. This ensures timely and secure delivery and maintains an electronic transaction footprint. Additionally, the national switch will facilitate the adoption of e-commerce and e-government services, providing citizens with easy and convenient access to a range of public services.
Well, in another story, the National Secretary General for the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Alhaji Manika Kamara, has expressed dissatisfaction over Sierra Leone's position in the latest report released by the Reporters Without Borders. Sierra Leone dropped 28 places, down from 46 in 2022 to 74 in 2020 global ranking. The report was released in commemoration of this year's World Press Freedom Day, with the theme shaping a future of right, freedom of expression as a drive for all other human rights.
Concerning our assessments in the media, you can recall that in 2020, Parliament repealed Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act that criminalizes libel and free speech. And with that repeal, Sierra Leone in 2021-2022 made remarkable improvements in the World Index rating. Sierra Leone moved to 46 space in to 46th position in 2021-2022. And now in 2023, just today, this morning, the ranking that was published by the respective body, Sierra Leone jumped from 46 to 74, which is about 28 space, which is very, very bad for us as a country. And according to the reports, this is so because of 4 indicators. One is the political indicator.
All right, and finally, both presidential aspirants of the United Democratic Movement and the People's Democratic Party have gone through their respective nomination process. Mohamed Sowa Toure and Prince Koka pleaded for peaceful and electionary process while stating that their parties stands a chance of going to State House come June 24.
I want to assure the Electoral Commission and the country that I am committed to peace. My political party is also committed to peace. My membership are committed to peace. It is not only by word of mouth, but my actions, my behavior, and the rest of it.
For us as a party, our first point of contact, even within the government, is how we engage them and dialogue with them. Because we believe that election is not war. Election is a game of voting, and also is a war of winning or losing. But what I believe on, after election, if I happen or I'm fortunate to win the election, praise be to God, so be it.
All right, that's all we have in our top stories this morning.
All right, we still continue with our discussions here on Wake Up Sierra Leone. Earlier, before the news summary, we were talking to the Peace Ambassador, and she is here to talk about their third annual Taste of Salone culture and fashion. So please give us a background of the Taste of Salone culture and fashion.
The background, I started in 2021. Currently, and I partner with Limcombe University in Hill Station. So we partner together. I work with the Department of Tourism, Business, and also Technology, Culture, and Fashion. And I work with the university and the faculty and the students there. And this has been since 2021. So this is our third year annual event. And it's historically, I've been coming to Sierra Leone for years. I am a first generation American. Both parents are Sierra Leonean. And I've been visiting Sierra Leone since 2012. So I've also been very active in the Sierra Leonean community in Sierra Leone and abroad in the United States. So I felt a need, many people in Sierra Leone that have immigrated there, they have children like me, and they also come back to Sierra Leone to trace their ancestry. Now we have Americans, African Americans, who were involved in the transatlantic slave trade, and they also I traced their ancestry and going to different parts of Africa, obtaining their visa. And Sierra Leone is one of the countries that's also involved in this initiative. So I felt a need to definitely celebrate Sierra Leone's culture and educating people internationally about what it means to be Sierra Leonean, and also for the people who are interested in coming back and visiting their country, whether it's people who are born from Sierra Leonean parents and they want to come here, or also people who are friends of Sierra Leoneans and people who have their ancestral lineage from Sierra Leone.
Okay, so has the event taken place?
It has taken place every year at Limcombe University.
Okay, so you organized this one in April, is it?
It's normally organized in April. We may change the date because of holidays. But normally it's been towards the end of April.
Permit me to say, we're already in May. Are you talking of a future celebration next year?
Of course.
Okay.
Every year I work with Limcombe since 2021. So definitely we're preparing for next year.
Okay, so with the theme, what have you already put in place and what's the message you want to drive home?
Next year's program, definitely we're exploring different entertainment because it's a strong part of this initiative. And I like to explore different parts of what Sierra Leone have to offer and and entertainment aspect. And also, I also look for people who are very significant in developing Sierra Leone. This year, I had wonderful people that are business people, and they've done excellent in developing Sierra Leone. People such as Daniel Ketor with Rainbow Initiative, Nasu Fafana, Fabian Swill also, and Fantasy Wiz, which was entertainment. So these are people that I awarded this year with their recognition and service to the community. And again, next year, I will also look for people that have done a great job in their business and also establishing themselves in Sierra Leone.
Do you think Sierra Leone can compete in the international scene in terms of culture and fashion? You've rightly mentioned people who you recognized who have done extremely well. Fantasy Wiz, Fabian Swill, Nasu Fofana, of course, we know her kitchen and her dish, you know, the Sierra Leonean style, the African culture. How far can we go to ensuring that we sell out what we have in terms of fashion, in terms of our culture, in terms of our taste?
I think Sierra Leone has great potential. We just have to mobilize, focus, be organized, and develop our culture here. So, as far as media, also is very important. We have to other countries that are well established in marketing, such as Nigeria. They're very good at displaying their cultures in the African diaspora. So I think if Sierra Leoneans, we just have to be good in marketing our culture. And I think we are definitely able to attain that status, even though we're a small country, not compared to South Africa or Nigeria, which have large markets and economies. But I think it's possible.
All right. Now, as we close, Victor, looking at all what we've stated in terms of freedom of speech being a guarantor to ensuring that all other freedoms are ensured going forward at a crucial time like this in Sierra Leone's history, where information is going to be key, where consumers of information are going to have different sources of information and to digest from. How should we traverse rights and responsibilities in ensuring that what you give out, not just for traditional media, not just from social media, but from even politicians, our political parties, because most or all of the messages they give are policy statements in themselves. How should we ensure that, in as much as you have the right to your freedom of speech, and as well as you have the right to express yourself, but you ensure you keep the totality, the total peace of the country at such crucial time when we are going to elections?
Well, I think it's a simple thing to do. I mean, every Sierra Leonean just have to understand that you have to operate within the laws. That is as simple as that. I've said already that the Constitution, international laws guarantee the rights to freedom of expression. That is very, very, very simple. But then also the same laws, national and international laws, they also state instances or the ways in which you can enjoy that right. The way in which you have to ensure that other people's rights and reputations are protected. So just ensure that you express your opinions on issues, national issues. I mean, no government should actually trample upon the rights of people to express themselves. That is given. No government, whether today, tomorrow, whenever. But individuals, Sierra Leoneans, must ensure that this right goes with responsibilities. And your responsibility is to ensure you don't put out anything that will jeopardize the security of the state, anything that will undermine the morality of the state, anything that will undermine the social status of the state, and of course, anything that will undermine the reputation and the rights of other people. Like I've said, you cannot put out something to say, oh, Elizabeth has collected some monies from ex-politician, and then you have nothing to substantiate just because you want to damage the reputation of Elizabeth. Elizabeth has children, for instance, She has parents, people are looking up to her. So if you go out there to damage her reputation and character, then you have done very, very bad. And that is no way in which you could say that you are exercising your freedom of expression. So it is very simple for Sierra Leoneans to keep within the law whilst they express their interest. We as a commission will always continue to call out government and engage government for government to understand that they have to always act within the laws. Do not put, make laws that, for instance, will actually be unfair or discriminatory, will trample upon the rights of other people, and even in implementing the laws, executing the laws, for instance, the police, they have to understand that they operate within the ambit of the law. I mean, due process must be adhered to. The rule of law must reign supreme. Nobody should be under the law. Everybody should be equal before the law. That is what we call on. That is what we continue to talk to government on. And again and again, as we go towards the elections, citizens have to understand that their freedom to express themselves is limited. It's not absolute. It means that do not say things that undermine the security of the state. Do not say things that will undermine the reputation and character of other people. That is a simple game. That is a simple rule. It's a golden rule. Once we adhere to that, then we'll have a peaceful society. We'll have a peaceful and credible elections.
That's what I wanted to say. Okay. As we speak right now, there are lots of expressions and freedom of speech going on the social media.
So I'll read the first one. Ronald Beresford is saying, the truth is we all know there's no freedom of expression, especially if you're in the opposition side. Yet those in government will say otherwise, which isn't new in successive governments in Sierra Leone. Do people have the right to criticize a government, or even in the Fourth Estate, do they come out and condemn atrocities?
Coca J says, and to you, Umu, there's no passion for a job which can't put food on your table.
Okay. I think another one from Ronald, he says journalists need to be objective with integrity, which to be honest are not in the majority, which again puts the stain on the contributions to a free media.
And Mosire Janet says, to say the truth, journalists are the main players of encouraging the bad messages that are dominating our social media space because they are not proactive to deliver the right message. For us, it is easy to say, you guys want the old system of brown envelope circulation, especially during election period.
I think that's all from my side.
Yes.
So, let me just sum up on that. Somebody asked whether people have the right to criticize government. Of course, it is given. Every Sierra Leonean, he has the right. Every Sierra Leonean has the right to criticize the government. But you have to do it within the ambit of the law. For instance, you cannot say, let us go and overthrow the government. I mean, is that your right to say, let us go and overthrow? Does it fall within the ambit of the law? No. That is lawlessness. Criticize the government, say, for instance, A, B, and C, promises that government made or the president made during campaigns have not been fulfilled. That is what to do. And government should be a listening government to listen to those people who are really critical of them, to put their views on board, take their views on board, and be able to address them. But to say that let us go and overtake the government, let us go and overthrow the government, it's a way of expressing your freedom of expression. That is not the way to go. It is criminal and it is not acceptable at all in our society.
All right, Umu, whilst we close now, the question is, can someone be objective or be independent when his passion is not putting food on his table?
Sometimes you actually don't look at what you benefit individually, but the effect of what you do on society and people. Journalism, for me, I see it as a job wherein you sacrifice a lot in the interest of your country, and sometimes the benefit do not come immediately. It pays off when you least expect, but don't come to the profession with the aim of, oh, I have to put food on my table at all costs, but come with the aim of making your own mark in society, being the mouthpiece of the people who do not have the opportunity to talk. That is why human interest stories are very important, because that's why you go and help people to voice out what they're supposed to do. So do your job as you're supposed to do it as a journalist, being objective, being accurate and being balanced, you can be objective and at the same time put food on your table. You just don't need to live a luxurious life when you know your salary can't afford that for you at that particular time, and as well try to be objective.
All right. As we close, Doc, what would be your message to Sierra Leoneans in order to ensure that we to a very large extent take a look at our culture and our tradition and portray that in the international scene?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
How should Sierra Leonean ensure that we portray our culture and our tradition to the international scene?
I think we just need to be ourselves. I think what I see with other nationality, they love who they are. They're very passionate about who they are. And when they interact with international communities, they show them their culture, they educate them on their culture, and they show that love. And that's how other people from different continents, they respect them. So I think if we respect ourselves, we love our culture, and also marketing, have a passion for our culture and market them and educate people. If you see some of these artists, when they do their songs that make #1 hits internationally, there's not one word of English spoken. They don't even understand what they're saying, but still the international community love them. They don't understand not a word, but they love them because these artists, these people, they're passionate about their culture. So I think it's just a way of marketing ourselves as Sierra Leoneans, respecting one another, uplifting one another, work as a unity. I think those things will grow Sierra Leone internationally.
All right, thank you very much, Doc, and of course to you, Umu and Victor. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll continue with the second segment of the show.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for you. For shopping, travel expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes, then what is your financial transaction wish?
I'd like to have a choice.
I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, light out. I'll buy some ETSA, still on my phone.
I'd like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO of a company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transporting cash.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo does it all.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo. Think of it as
money when you're close to home and when you're away from home for unexpected expenses, and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo is all you need.
We are now days away from Sierra Leone's dates with destiny, the June 24th general election. In this defining moment in the history of Sierra Leone, here at AYV, we recognize the mantle thrust upon us to be the voice of the nation fully.
We take our task to ensure fair coverage seriously. we intend to honor our pledge to you to be your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Totally, this is our commitment to you. We have witnessed non-stop hours of groundbreaking broadcast in an effort that saw AYV rolled out 8 studios across Sierra Leone at Star Hill, Aberdeen, Makeni, Kenema, Bow, and London, with almost 3 kilometers of coaxial cable laid connecting 4 ground teams that consume almost 100 liters of coffee from Chef Teina. The most important number is 2. Out of dozens of aspirants, only 2 men have emerged from the conventions in February as flag bearers of the APC and SLPP, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio and Dr. Samuel Matthew Wilson Camara.
So far, we have witnessed a lot of intrigues. Maybe this is the beginning. Defections and realignments have been plenty. We don't know if there's more to come.
The only thing you can guarantee right now is that your home of credible, factual, and balanced news and analysis, AYV Media Empire, will bring you every twist and turn of this amazing race in full color and in high definition.
We shall have a comprehensive look at the developments around the election as we count down to Sierra Leone State with destiny.
Women clamored and got a law that provides 30% minimum quota in governance. Will that be achieved this June?
Well, one thing is clear. The nation has begun its conversation that will culminate a date with its destiny on the 24th of June. How much will change by then? And what shifts within the political landscape are we going to see? Find out more on the nation's biggest and most trusted news source, AYV, on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio 101.7 FM, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on TikTok.
Yes, indeed. Only AYP. Because AYP, Naim Salot Sabi.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV Channel 33. We're also live on Radio 101.7 FM. We're live on our DSTV channel 399 and also live on our Facebook page, AYV News. Now, in our final segment this morning, we'll continue to speak to mayoral aspirants on their plans if they become mayor after June 24th mayoral election. Yesterday, we spoke to Yvonne Akitoya of the APC on her plans. Well, in this segment, we have the mayoral aspirant of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, Mohammed Gento Kamara, and he's in the studio to talk on his plans. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so before we delve into the conversations, let's take a short clip on the nomination process of the SLPP mayoral aspirant.
Mohammed Gento Kamara, the Sierra Leone People's Party mayoral candidate for the June 24th elections, has successfully completed the nomination process at the ECSL Western Region Office, Mayoral in Freetown. In an interview with AYV, Mohammed Gento Kamara says choosing Reverend Samuel Babatunde Thomas as his deputy to run the mayoral race in Freetown is to show his tolerance in religion and his desire to unify tribes in Sierra Leone.
This man is Reverend Samuel Babatunde Thomas. You know, as a practicing reverend, and because of my values, and I know we need to coexist in Sierra Leone and the religious tolerance we have in this country, I choose him as my running mate, and he's my running mate, and we're going to make sure we change Freetown. My plan is first of all provide water supply for every household and to clean Freetown. These are my primary projects. We go to discipline and other things that are second line. That's why you can see my running mate is a Creole man, whilst I'm a Timnan man. So we're working on it. We're making sure we break tribalism. Let us be peaceful. Let us go through the elections. Let us follow the process peacefully, and let us make sure we choose the right person. We're here to make sure we fix the problem of Freetown, and we're here to rebuild Freetown again. We're going to instill discipline, and we're going to make sure our Freetown people enjoy what is good for them.
Speaking to AYV, Reverend Samuel Babatunde Thomas, Deputy Mayoral candidate for the SLPP, said he's delighted to work with Mohammed Gento Kamara to build a better Freetown municipality.
Well, it's fine. We need to come together to develop the country. It's all about the country, Sierra Leone first. And as my brother said earlier, there's a chimney and a limber, I'm a Creole. And so we coexist. We should coexist and we should work together. Muslims, Christians, natives, Creole. We are all Sierra Leoneans for the betterment of the country. Well, just look at the chemistry in England. The person now is a prime minister. It's an Indian, richest Indian. That tells you that the world is changing. So to us to say that it is only because we are Creoles, then we own Freetown. Yes, this place was bought for us. But even though the place was bought for us, we had too many people who were trained. We had limbers, we had locals who were trained. We give them our properties, we give them our names. That tells us that Creole, we are liberal people. And so those people who are saying that Freetown is only for the Creoles, no, it is for all of us. And all of us should coexist together.
Albert George Sheriff, AYV Freetown.
All right, that was the highlights there of the SLPP mayoral aspirant Mohammed Gento Kamara as he completed the ECSL's nomination process. Now back to our conversations here in the studio. Can you tell us, who is Mohammed Gento Kamara?
Well, Mohammed Gento Kamara is just a humble Sierra Leonean. And I was born in Freetown, raised in Freetown. And after GCSE O levels, I went to England and all. And I was there, went to college in England, you know, then started my business while I was in college. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing business now, and I enjoy doing business, and I see myself as a successful, humble businessman.
All right, so now in an overview, before we delve into the discussion proper, just give us an outline of your agenda as you run for the mayoral office.
Well, you know, going in for the mayoral seat of Freetown is mainly to fix the problem that we have in Freetown. As it is today in Freetown, we know we don't have water supply, and Freetown, we have sanitation problems. Freetown is not clean. So me coming in mainly is to make sure that I provide water supply for every household in Freetown, and to make sure also we clean Freetown, and to look at the market areas and develop the markets, and also look at the health facilities, mainly PCMH, Cottage Hospital, and Connaught Hospital, fix these problems and make sure that our people in Freetown have a quality life. So these are my main things I'm going to work on.
Most of those things you've highlighted are engineering constraints of Freetown. If you speaking of water, for example, we are now living in a city that was designed approximately for around 700,000 residents, and we have well over 2 million people residing. So it means engineering to ensure the water reach the people, and also electricity and the drainage and sewage system are poorly designed. Looking at your background, how would you ensure, if voted in, and that these things would be a thing of the past?
Well, you see, I've looked at it and I've done my studies in a way. And for me, the blessing that we have, which is a greater advantage for us, is the geography layout of Freetown, the topography of Freetown. As you can see, we have Freetown is surrounded, well, the top side is mountainous and it runs down through to the seaside. And most of these mountain areas you see in Freetown, they have water catchments. So all we need to do is to enhance this water catchment, have a bit of reservoir there, and have a pipe that runs down, and then you can connect from those pipes and provide water for the people. We should not only depend on Guma Valley. Yes, what you're saying, you're right. Yeah, but again, from Guma Valley, if you come to Wilberforce, there's a little dam there, there's a reservoir, there's a water catchment. Round through Freetown, yeah, there's water catchment that we need to enhance. For me, that's the easiest engineering I'm looking at, to say, let us be practical about this. Yeah, yes, you're right. But also, let us make sure we make use of our topography.
And looking at the topography in terms of the drainage and sewage system, because that has been the key concern for the past 7 years now.
Mhm.
When you look at, and now we have the rains coming,
Yeah.
there's always a concern of the streets being flooded. There's always a concern of flash floods across lower areas in the capital and in the slums. How would you ensure, if voted, that there will be a better drainage system wherein people will not be concerned when there are rains?
You see, my brother, this is why we need to vote someone in that have relationship with the people, that understand the problem of Freetonians. I have relationship with Freetonians. As it is now, I'm constructing a bridge down Krube. I'm doing the drainage system down Moab. You understand? Because I know these are the problems that we need to fix. I'm not even waiting for me to become the mayor of Freetown. I've started fixing the problems now. Talking about the drainage system in Freetown, I build roads, so I know what to do when I get there, and I'm trying to do it right. You see, in Freetown today, what we need is a builder. And Mohamed Gentokama is that builder that will fix the problem. Like you're saying, most of these problems are engineering problems. I'm a builder. I'm in there. I've been in this business for over 20 years now. So I understand what it means. And I feel the pain of my Freetonian people, and I know what they're going through. You know, my brother, I have relatives. I'm from the eastern part of Freetown. I have relatives today. They have kids that will wake up 3 a.m. Yeah, to go and fetch water. You know, and sometimes, you know, I have people I grew up with, they will come to you and say, oh, my Pekin don't get pregnant. These are painful things, you know, and if you ask, how did you manage? You know, they don't have choice. A young girl at the age of 14, 15 have to wake up in the morning, 4 a.m., 3 a.m. to go and fetch water. These modern days, we should not be living a life like that. You know, for me, Freetown deserve more. You understand? I thank God, you know, whatever God have given me in life, you know, I say, Alhamdulillah, and I thank God. It's time for me to give to my people. I've been doing it for the past years. I've been very generous with Freetonians. I have relationship with them. But mayoral position, I'm not coming in there just because of politics. No, I'm coming in there because I feel the pain that my Freetonians are going through. And I believe I have what it takes to fix that problem. And I'm going to do it with all passion. You know, my enthusiasm is high. I'm ready for it, and I'm going to fix it.
Now that you've mentioned you coming into politics, earlier you gave us a background of you being involved in entrepreneurship. And we know entrepreneurs actually enter into business, they venture into business, they take financial risk with the hope of getting returns or rewards in the end. Now, how would you use that background in your transition now to politics? Are you still going to do business and politics? How are you going to merge the two?
But that's why you need a successful entrepreneur to fix the problem of Freetown. Because today, when people are talking about fixing the problem in Freetown, they're telling you about finance. They don't know how to raise the finance. They just depend on the central government. When I come there, I have my own initiative to fix the problem. You understand? To fix the water problem in Freetown, yes, you need the finance. I know what I have what it takes to fix that problem. I have the financial relationships to do it. And for example, fixing the water problem in Freetown, people are going to pay their bills. Like people are buying their top-ups today for their mobile phones. So all you need to do is, first of all, talk to the Ministry of Finance, and we come up with what we call municipality bond. You know, I'm going to make sure we raise municipality bond. Also, NASIT, you understand, is having money for social security. Water is our social problem today in Freetown. We can then negotiate with NASIT and let it look at it that they're not going to lose money, they're going to make profit. But this is an investment that the people need, you know, and that's why I'm coming in. So let these authorities see, yeah, the practicality of what social net is about. You know, let us fix the social problems. Let us make sure we're not going to depend that we're going to wait for government to give us the money. No. Yeah, I'm going to create the avenues. I'm going to make sure as a businessman, I know what it takes and I know where to go to get the money. There's international banks also that will come in because, like you say, the off-takers are there. The people are there. The people need water. They will pay their bills. You know, they'll pay their bills. So let us fix that problem for them. Let them pay their bills. You know, and I think it's doable.
Now, Gentle, you are a man of crowd, a man of multitude, a man who many believe is being followed by the youthful population within and without Freetown. How will that transform into the votes come June 24th?
You see, when people like you, when people trust and believe in you, yeah, they'll vote for you. So because of my relationship in Freetown, you talk about sport, you know, you talk about youth development. When we started local content in Freetown or Sierra Leone, Mohamed Gentle Kamara Gentle Group was the face of local content. So the youth, they understand the fact that, yes, this man will provide and create employment for us. They know, yes, this man is a man that we can trust. We've known him for years. You understand? I'm not a new person that is just coming in to say, trust me, I will do this. They already know that I have that trust. I've built it over the years. Yeah, I've built that over the years. So that's why they're coming out. That's why they're supporting me. So come June 24, I have the very strong conviction that I'm going to win. You know, but my obligation now is to fix the problems, because the people are coming out now to say, we're going to vote for you. We want you because they trust me. And I will not let them down.
You just mentioned your relationship with Freetonians, with people within the capital. And earlier on, you also mentioned your agenda will deal with water supply, sanitation, market, health. Is this in line with what Freetonians want? Have you taken time out to also find out what are the needs and constraints of the people?
I know that's what they need. You know, you see, leadership, you know, if you're a successful businessman and you've run a business, you know, it's part of leadership. You have to be strong and you have to make sure that you know what the people want. You understand? For me, coming in to be a mayor of Freetown, you look at the voters now and you look at Freetonians, yeah? You said, okay, these are the people I'm going to market myself to. Why should they vote for me? And what should I do for them? To me, I've had a relationship with them and identified the problems that what we need is water supply, clean Freetown sanitation, proper health facilities, you know, and then develop the marketplaces. These are the basics. Let us deal with this, you know, and let us make sure we do it right, yeah, for the betterment of our people.
And now there has been a lot of political comments around having a non-Creole as a mayor. Just to go back to history, if elected, you will not be the first non-Creole. Shaka Stevens was once a mayor of Freetown, but the political cultural trend in Freetown has been that, well, even though nowhere in the laws you can find such pointers, but the pattern has been a Creole as a mayoral candidate or a mayor in Freetown for so many years now, even since the local governance system was disrupted. How would you break that barrier, since after the wars, since we reintroduced the local government system in Sierra Leone, in Freetown, there has been successive Creoles. This is not tribalism or no, but this is the pattern. How are you going to break that pattern?
Well, but already I've been nominated, you understand? So that first step of it, you know, I've succeeded to break it. And let us look at it from this angle. It's all about competency. Let us get someone that is competent to fix the problem. Let us get someone that have relationship with the people and know what the people need. You know, it's not about tribe. That's why when I started my aspiration, I said, let's break tribalism. You know, it's about inclusion. Yeah, Freetown is meant for all of us. Yeah, when the Creoles came to Freetown, they met us, the Temenes, here. They met us here. That's why we, the Temenes, call here camp. We accommodated them. You understand? We gave them a place we make Freetown, yeah, as a free place and a good place for them to stay. And they were happy to stay here. You understand? It will surprise you to know that my great-granddad was a king. You understand? And even when they went back to Korea, between the protectorate and the colony, yeah, Freetown to Songo, it's called Malambe area. My great-grandfather was the king there and all. So I'm originally a Freetown Temene boy. And I understand it. And I have relationship with the Creoles. And I like the Creole people. I don't have nothing against the Creole people. But all what I'm saying, including the Creole people now, we don't have water supply in Freetown. Including the Creole people now, Freetown is filthy. Including the Creole people now, we have poor hospitals in Freetown. And this is a local issue that we should deal with. When Chijakamba was in power, yeah, we have donors that came in and they talked about decentralization. We should not burden the central government, leave everything with the central government. We have to look at things. Let us be realistic with the facts. You understand? Let us don't come with tribe. I don't believe in that anyway. As much as I respect the Creole people, but it's all about competency. Let us have someone that will be able to deliver and bring that change that we've been crying for in Freetown. That's why I'm coming out.
Now, for that to be achieved, for the change you're talking about to be achieved, you've mentioned your expertise as an entrepreneur and how you rally around other sectors to ensure there's enough revenue generation to carry out the projects you are envisioning if voted. There's also an issue of revenue generation in Freetown. For the past 5 years, revenue is low with regards city council revenue collection, and if council is to support itself, subventions from governments are important, but also its internal revenue generation is key. You look at the market women, the jobs, you look at the city rate, the house rate. All of these taxes are essential to ensure that council is run properly. How would you ensure if elected, that you look at those revenue generation and you take them up the notch?
You know, again, as a successful entrepreneur, I know how to get to finances. Our problem is the avenue. When you talk about revenue, you have to first of all have the avenue, you understand, to get the revenue. What I'm trying to do here, and what I've said, yeah, to make sure that water, like I said about water supply system, people pay their bills. You're talking about city rates and everything. We all understand and see what this mayor did when he came in. About George Williams, you understand? About George Williams raised a lot of money through taxations and all those kind of things. We can still look at what Albert George Williams did to raise finances during his tenure, and we work towards that. What we're trying to do here is to make sure we have the avenues. If we develop the market areas, you know, and make sure these market people have a conducive area to do their trade, they will pay their taxes, and then government will have the revenue to do what the local government wants to do. And on that note that you're talking, as an entrepreneur, away up from politics, let me say this now. One of the burden on government, on the central government, is to pay salaries. Today in Freetown, in Sierra Leone, salary is just over $400 million or about that annually. Yes, that's what it costs the government to pay salary. So about $500 million. Yeah. Right now, as I'm telling you, Gentle Group and Mohammed Gentle Kamara, as a private individual, I'm not working on a project that I will be giving government $500 million every year. You understand? $500 million every year. Yeah, and that will soon start within the next 2 years. I'm working on it, and it's done. You know, listen, I'm coming in for Freetonians to fix the problem. I'm living here. I know how I struggle to have water, even in my compound. Even in my own compound, I have to buy water bowser. Yeah, every 2-3 days. You know, it's not easy. I have relatives, you know, that even if you give them allowance every month, they struggle with it. You know, so about fixing the problem of Freetown, fixing the problem here, Mohammed Gentle is the right person, because Mohammed Gentle, you know, knows how to fix the problem. Mohammed Gentle is an entrepreneur that have the capacity to raise the finances and do what the Freetonians need.
Now, if you are voted in, you've also mentioned water supply. Again, I go back to your agenda, water supply, and health. We already have Goma Valley, we have the Ministry of Health. How would you actually achieve your agenda in line with these institutions or ministries?
Good. As a mayor of Freetown, yeah, you're the landlord. Yeah, you own the city in a way. Constitutionally, you have the acts that support that. The ministries should work with the local government on all areas. So for me as a mayor, of course, yes, I'll work with the Ministry of Health, but I'll let them understand that they're overburdening themselves. We'll take over the hospitals as a city council. We'll make sure they understand that they will run the hospitals because they have the technical know-how, they have the medical doctors and everything. But we have to manage it, manage it in the sense, make sure we get what the people need, and it's easy. Yeah, the acts are there. We're going to make sure we also amend some of these acts to make sure these are the policies that I'm coming with. It's practicable, and they have to. All of them will understand it. It's like you're selling a bread to someone. It's easy to say this is a bread. You understand? If the person knows that yes, if I eat bread, I'll survive. It's good for my breakfast. They will take it. But if you give somebody fufu 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. in the morning, they might say to fufu is too heavy for me for today. So you have to come up with realities, and they will understand it. And the city council have the authority, and we're going to take that authority on.
Now you are running under the Sierra Leone People's Party, whose leadership over the past 5 years has led the government heavily on education. There are also municipal schools within Freetown. Before the war, these schools were known as excellent schools. And when you look back at where we are now in education, parents within Freetown will say they prefer their children attending private schools as compared to these municipal schools that were around at the time. How would you ensure you go back to ensuring, in line with the government's free quality education program, that these schools produce quality as they were before the war?
You see, that's why my background also is the strength that I have. I attended the Kisi Primary Municipal School, KPS, Kisi Dockyard. Yeah? And I know, what I went through there as a municipal school and everything. This is very important because these are city council-owned schools. Seriously, again, these are sad things that you're talking about, that really emotionally, we have to be passionate to fix these problems, these municipal school problems. And I will do it, because I'm from there. I understand what is going on there, and I know what is going on in Freetown. I know the problem. I'm not coming in. You see, Freetonians should understand that don't look at this, in a political way or political line. Let's do this cut across party line. Let's look at the competency. Let's look at the individuality. You understand? What is the connection with the people, the connectivity? How are we relating with the people? If you're not relating with the people, if you don't have connection with the people, if you don't feel their pains, how are you going to fix their problems? You understand? It's only when you relate with them. It's only when you live like them. I've been in their shoes. I know what they're going through. I know what they're going through. I'm not going there for money. I'm going there to fix the problem. I'm going there to fix the problem. So I'm appealing to Freetonians that vote for competency. Vote for someone that that would deliver. And like you rightly said, President Bill has done well with the free education and all of that is coming through. But like you said, the municipal schools are still struggling. They're struggling. When Mohamed Johnson come in there as a mayor, I'm going to make sure we fix those problems. And that is not much of a problem to fix because we already have free education. You understand? It's just to be concerned. Just care about them. And just know that they're poor people that cannot provide private school. And feel for them. So that's where Mohamed Johnson is coming in. I'm going to fix it.
Now, one of our messages on our Facebook page from Abubakar Rashid, he says, Mr. Gento Kamara, you grew up in Freetown and in Kisii in particular. You attended school in Kisii. What is your position on the Kisii dump site coming from your background as a road builder? I think this also has to do with sanitation.
I'm going to move that dump site from Kisii. You understand? The waste that is there now, we're going to try to change that to have electricity supply. You know, most of this waste, these areas, even Kintom, I'm going to move. If I become the mayor of Freetown, I'm going to move the dump site from Kintom. Because, you see, most of our waste we have in Freetown is organic waste. So it's good for energy. It's good for energy. So let us make use of it. We're struggling with light system today, and that's the fact about it. So what are we doing with this waste? You know, we have to do something about it. You know, most of the things in Freetown, sometimes when you talk about it, you know, you feel pain because you don't understand why the local council over the years, they're not doing anything about it. You know, I'm not, you know, anyway. Let me leave it as it is.
I can see you passionate. And one area I would like us to discuss after I bring in Ransom McLean will be the transportation sector within the capital of Freetown. But Ransford McLean is getting set to give us our sport, and again, that's one area also you're involved in terms of sports, especially within the capital Freetown, and we'd like you also to discuss on that, to give an insight on how you think we can build youth and how to ensure jobs are being provided for youth within the capital Freetown. But I think Ransford McLean is also set to give us the sports updates. Good morning, Ransford.
Very good morning, Bokari Martin. Good morning to our guests and our viewers who've been following the show this morning. For our first story that has to do with FC Cologne supporters planning to boycott their Sunday match. There's a clash, a big match between both Rangers Football Club on Sunday coming. They say on a letter that this is to prevent a future occurrence of what happened on the previous match in the last at the previous Premier League at Rangers won. They mentioned that there must be abundant security to ensure they witness that particular match. But interestingly, the board they are yet to put out a statement, and AYV will get I talk to the media officer for that, and also a video or picture making rounds on social media that a referee, match officer on the match between Diamond Stars and FC1 scene, his jersey was teared after the match ended 3-2 in Wosum Field. And also the board are yet to pull out a statement with regards to that. But let's take another story that has to do with Eastern Lion Football Club. Have moved second place on the table after they defeated debutant Lamboy FC by goal to nil. Head coach Raymond Joel also says the reason for the team's improved performance in the second phase of the league is based on the leadership he has shown and the players are determined to compete in the league.
I keep saying there's just chilling minds of the players. I just came in with chilling minds of the players, hard work, determination, working as a unit. That's very important for us. Teamwork, you know. As of now, we've sit on the second spot. So now, depending on the outcome of the other match that we'll play tomorrow, Blackpool and FC Cologne. It's a very good one, a very huge one. We had a very bad one last weekend, and we came here today with a very good attitude to make sure we won this match today, which is very good for us. That's very important for us as a team to make sure we are this winning today.
We are able to manage our mistakes in the first leg, but today I think it's not a mistake. It's natural. It's an handball, and the hand was the normal position. So, but referee awarded penalty. So we have nothing to say. We just accept it. That's it. But we did very well.
All right, now as we close, there was a saga for the Sierra Leone Tennis Association after the senior member of the Tennis Association make a call that they should look at the bigger picture to bring all family together and withdraw the matter from court. More on that will be featured in the news. So that's all for sports. And back to you, Bakari Matia and Elizabeth Momo in the studio.
Thank you very much, Rachel McLean, for giving us the sports update in the studio and this morning. And we hope to give you more of the round updates as we focus on the Sierra Leone Premier League and the English Premier League as well. Over to you, Jenso, as we were discussing. There's also the issue of municipality transportation system. This is as a factor of so many reasons. Whether we do not have enough roads or whether we can't just plan a traffic well. How, if elected, how would you ensure you cater for the transportation system of Freetown? And I used to remember when I was young, our uncles, our fathers would tell us that Freetown was well planned in terms of transportation system. You had a double-decker bus. These buses were around, and taxis were private, sort of. You hired them. How would you ensure we manage our municipal transport sector system from City Council?
The transport system again is mainly because of congestion. There's too much people living now in Freetown. Too much people. So what we need to do, decentralization. You've seen what the central government has done. They're now opening the industrial zone, Up Salone, that will employ over 10, 20,000 people. That will move people from Freetown. Again, I said to you, I'm working on a development to give government $500 million every year. Again, that will create an employment of over 15,000 people. It's not going to be in Freetown. It's going to be around the peninsula. What does that mean? We have empty lands over there. We're going to develop these areas and we'll move people out. Because everybody's coming to Freetown to survive, to look for jobs and everything. But if we create jobs outside Freetown, people will go back outside Freetown and people will actually have a better lives outside Freetown. So we start with that. And then you look at the transport proper. Look at Dovecourt, Gad Street, Frobe Road. It's congested. What do you need to do? Some of these houses around those places are owned by the council. We're going to build a proper marketplaces there and make sure we relocate these people from the street to the marketplace that we're going to build. And when we do that, we're going to free up those roads. That's the only thing. Because there's not proper market, people are forced to come onto the roads. You go to Lumley today. Look at Lumley Market, The people are forced to come out the street to do their trading. But if we construct a proper market for them, and then go around most of the other houses around that market area, we talk to the owners and then buy it off them and build a proper, conducive market area, the people will stay in the market. You understand? And the roads will be free. So transportation in Freetown is first of all most of these areas are congested in Freetown and market areas. So what we need to do is, like I said earlier on, build a proper marketplace for these people, conducive market area, so you get them up the street and then you construct the road for them.
Now as we round up, we've had your agenda, we've had the plans you have for Freetonians. Now in a minute or two, can you talk to Freetonians as you go forward to as the mayoral aspirant campaigning under the SLPP?
Well, like I said, my campaign is let people look at this and say, Freetown needs somebody that can deliver. Freetonians need to be genuine with themselves. They have to understand the fact that we're not going to vote for someone because of any other reason, but the fact that we believe in that person that, he or she is going to deliver. And I've had that trust over the years, and I'm saying to people that vote Mohamed Gento in. Mohamed Gento is coming there. Mohamed Gento don't need your money. You understand? Mohamed Gento is going to fix the problem for you. Mohamed Gento is going to create the avenues to get this money to fix the problems. So it's better you vote for Mohamed Gento Kamara that will deliver, that you understand, feels your pain and know, they say, who knows it feels it, or who feels it knows it, you know, and I'm there. You know, so that's all I have to say to them. It's up to them now, you know, to get the best for themselves and everything. But Mohammed Gento is willing to serve.
All right, and thank you very much. And congratulations again once more on your nomination as the mayoral candidate for the Sierra Leone People's Party in Freetown. Elizabeth.
Yes, please. And don't forget, we'll also keep up our conversations on the mayoral aspirants. Yesterday, we spoke to Ivan Akisora of APC. Today, we've also spoken to Mohammed Gento Kamara of SLPP. We'll keep the discussions to know what the mayoral aspirants have for Freetonians. Now, this is where we end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Our quote for today says, "Freedom of the press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy. Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech." And it comes from Thomas Jefferson, who was an American statesman, diplomat, lawyer, architect, and philosopher.
And we say thanks to our sponsor, Local Commercial Bank, for their support to the program. Continue to watch the African Voices Media Empire throughout the day as we have other exciting programs coming up. Till we meet again tomorrow for more interesting topics here on Wake Up Sierra Leone. We've been your presenters. I am Bokari Matia.
And I am Elizabeth Momo. Do have a lovely day.
Oh yeah, Talking Point platform, TTPTV. Oh yeah, Unale we pledge, we love and loyalty to we sweet, sweet mama salute. Now we all come together as one. For tomorrow, now we go make salute.